Hi, Jessica, are you there?
Yes, I am, Lisa. Good evening. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can. Good evening.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to class once again. Okay, it's 5 o'clock, and our facilitator is already in class. So in order not to keep him waiting, we are going to go straight into our lectures. Our facilitator today is Samaila Paloma, and he will be taking us on candidate declaration, manifesto, and agenda. A brief bio on our facilitator. Samaila Paloma is a law graduate of Ahmadu Bello University. He worked in the Ministry of Justice, Gombe State, and resigned as a principal state counsel and went into active politics till date. He is a proprietor of a reputable nursery and primary school in Gombe, Academy of Greenwoods International School. He was also a former special assistant to the immediate past governor of Gombe State, and he is the MD of Boyard Fort Limited. He is a board member of the Electoral College, Nigeria. And he is already on the call. So without further ado, please let's give a virtual applause as we welcome our facilitator for today, Samaila Paloma. You're welcome, sir. Over to you, sir.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I hope you guys can hear me.
Loud and clear, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, you guys can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Welcome, sir.
Okay, then. All right, good evening, everyone, once again, and welcome to today's lecture, which is Candidate Declaration and Manifesto, etc. I'm sure, based on what it says, a few of you have an idea of what a declaration is. A candidate declaration is and a manifesto, which is one of the things or the major components that gets you into a race or political race earnest. So I'll start by the introduction of what the note is all about today. In politics, a declaration notifies the public of the intention to seek public office via an election. So in a declaration, basically, you are notifying everybody of your intention to run for whichever office you're deciding to vie for. At that point, depending, it might be State House of Assembly, House of Representative, Senator, Governor, President, etc. Since an election is a formal group-making process by which the population choose a candidate to hold public office, it is crucial for an aspiring candidate to inform the electorate that he or she will be among the prospective voters. Like I already said earlier on, these are, I won't call it a ground norm because maybe that's a big of a word to use, but it's something, it's one of the conditions precedent to running for an office, a declaration. Without you declaring for any office, nobody will be aware of the fact that you are vying for that office which you decide to run for. So the paper is primarily concerned with the process of initially reaching out to your general electorate. It assumes that the process of deciding to seek elected office has been concluded. Letters of intent have been distributed to necessary stakeholders, and prospective candidates have their ideological, moral, or other convictions to seek office, which will be drawn upon and conveyed in the declaration itself and subsequent campaigning. So what does this mean? When you are making a declaration, it is assumed that you have already sent something that is called letter of intent. Letter of intent is an initial letter which is sent, when you're running for office, there are different stratas. You are running for an office, you're running under a political party. Now, in that political party, you have stakeholders, you have the chairman of the party at the state levels, local government level, ward level. Now, the normal procedure is a custom anyways. It's not like it's a must, but there's something you call it a letter of intent, whereby you write a letter drafted to maybe the state party chairman, the local government party chairman, the ward chairman, in notifying them of your intent to seek an office. So that's just like a precursor to telling them, okay, before you come and finally make your official declaration, you're just letting them know. And it's like I said, it's a custom. It's just something, a tradition that is normally done to show them like a sign of respect. And also the major stakeholders in your area, depending on who and who is in the major stakeholders. So it's just like you're showing them some sort of accord of respect that you're deciding to declare for whatever office you decide to run for. So he said a declaration itself and subsequent campaign. Questions like, what office do I want to fill? Am I qualified? Why do I want to do this? How can I make a difference? Am I ready for the challenges? Do I have the support of the stakeholders? How will I fund it? ETC must have been asked successfully by the candidate answered. Now, what office do you want to run for? You must obviously know the office you want to run for. You can't just make a declaration without in a bubble, basically, without identifying or notifying the office you're deciding to run for. So you must know, okay, I want to run for this office, and am I qualified? You know, under the constitution, obviously. Well, unfortunately, I always like to sort of fortunately, the basic criteria for running for office is SSC, which I believe at some point the bar should be raised, because we are allowing a lot of chaff get into office because of this very, very, limited, will I say, educational qualification that is needed to run for any office. So are you qualified? Why do you want to do this? Obviously, you must have a reason why you're deciding to run for that office. You cannot just be deciding to run for an office without a reason why. How can I make a difference? Am I ready for the challenges? That's one big question you always ask yourself, because before you make a declaration, it seems very easy. It seems like, oh, I can go long haul. It's not a big deal. But there are so many challenges that some you might be prepared for and some you won't even be prepared for. They're going to come in your way. So you have to always have it at the top of your mind. Whatever challenges that come, am I prepared for it? Am I ready to do this? How will I fund this? I think there's a lecture, I'm not sure, but there's supposed to be a lecture on campaign funding. So that will further elaborate on how go about funding your campaign. Because it's always advisable, that I'm just chipping in, not to use your personal funds solely. When you're using, that's why you see a lot of people politically, when they run for office and then they probably lose, you hear situations of people having a stroke, etc., because they've spent their funds. So you should not go about raising funds to fund your campaign and declaration, etc. A declaration must be an introduction as well as a preview of who the intended candidate is. It is an introduction, it's telling who you are. It's not assume, yes, you might be known in your society or in your locality because based on how long you've been there and how much you've done for them. But ideally, you must still introduce yourself. You must make them know who you are. Explain to them, this is who I am, so and so it is. What your political views are, why he or she hopes, what he or she hopes to bring to the sought office, and how he will deliver on the goals. This statement must receive as wide an audience within the constituency as possible, and it must contain certain elements to be impactful. A declaration begins a political race in earnest and sets the tone for the rest of the campaign. A well-articulated, well-delivered, and well-viewed attendance declaration is invaluable. So what you need to understand is that the moment you make a declaration, your political journey has started. You've started the race. You basically started campaign. Because once you climb on that podium, depending on how well, because later on you see different ways to declare. Depending on whichever media you try to use to make your declarations, once you do that, you're already in the race. You cannot now start, trying to backtrack. You have to go head on full stream, basically. What is declaration now? I'm going to note proper. The word in itself is self-explanatory. It's a statement by an aspiring candidate which he or she officially tells the world his intention to contest elective office. Traditionally, it involved reading out a prepared document. In most advanced countries, and in some cases I've seen today in this country, Nigeria now, we have different other media we use to make a declaration. It could be done through media briefings, on TV, over the radio, through social media, YouTube, Facebook, etc. So now, normally before, in the past, I'm not sure a lot of you would have seen how we used to campaign. way back. Way back used to be, you climb on. I was even alive for some of it, but I've seen video clips of it, whereby likes of Shehu Shagari, late, would climb on. They'll put benches or like it's mini podium for them to climb on in the market square to make an official declaration that they're running for whatever office they decide to run for at that point. So bear in mind that a declaration has multiple audiences. It has the general public. It has the prospective voters. The general public, nobody is a valid voter or a prospective voter. But it still helps for the general public to know about it, because the more buzz around your declaration, the more it helps to carry weight and eventually swing prospective voters your way. Then after the prospective voters, which is the second, you have the third, which is the party delegates. Now, this is now we're coming down to the party level. You know that when you make a declaration, you must go through a primaries in the party. To win the primaries, then you now go and face the prospective voters at the general election. And then the fourth strata of people you should bear in mind when making a declaration is the stakeholders. So you see, we have four people you have to put in mind when you're making a declaration: the general public, the prospective voters, party delegates, and then the stakeholders. Stakeholders are normally stakeholders in the party. We all are aware of the people we call the godfathers, basically, quote unquote. Those are the people that are called the stakeholders at the party level. Now we'll go to factors when making a declaration. Who makes a declaration? Any prospective candidate for any elective office can make a declaration. This could be within at the national level. We all know the president makes an official declaration to run for any political office. And you must note that at the national level, we all know that vice presidential candidates don't make a declaration. They are picked by the presidential candidate after he has probably won the party primaries. He consults wide with the party faithfuls, godfathers, etc., and then decides to pick his vice presidential candidates. So they are exempted from making declarations because they don't seek votes to contest for office of the vice president. Now, at the state level, we have the governors, we have senators, we have House of Representative members. At the local government / ward level, we have chairmen of local government, we have state House of Assembly members, we have councillors. At the political parties also, this could be national, regional, state, or local government ward. These are the places that you can make a declaration to run for whatever office. For example, I give an example of Imo State Youth Leader who is deciding to run for the office of the State Youth Leader of Imo State. For example, maybe PDP, NMPP, Labour Party. He's going to make an official declaration to that point that he's decided to run for that office for the party faithful for him. Now, also, aside the political strata, we also have professional associations and pressure groups. For example, the National Medical Association, the Farmers Union, and the union, the body I'm a member of, the Nigerian Bar Association. I'm sure if any lawyers here, yearly we have come to points where we have people running for president of the Nigerian Bar Association, and they make official declarations, transverse the states, inbox you, bombard you with emails and all the rest seeking your vote. So these are the different kind of people that make declarations when running for whichever office they're deciding to run for, depending on all the stratas that I've listed here. So the position sought would dictate the audience, medium, and even venue of declaration. What does that say? It's just, if you're running for example, you're running for local government chairman. I'm from a place called Balanga Local Government in Gombe State. Now, if I'm running for Balanga Local Government chairman, where's my target audience? My target audience is Balanga Local Government. I'm not going to be making a declaration in Musa Yaradua Center, because that's not my target audience. My target audience is my local government. So that is where I should be focused on. So also, if you are running for House of Representative member in Lagos Island 2, you will not go and be making a declaration in Ikorodu East, for example. You understand? Your target audience is where you should be primarily focused on and where you should make your declaration. So I hope we understand what I mean by the position sought to dictate the audience, medium, and even venue for declaration. And the second, why make a declaration? Politics is a game of numbers. Elections are won based on amounts of votes secured by candidates. A declaration seeks to bring prospective voters to support your candidacy. So this declaration, what does it do? It gets you into the race. The moment you stand up and say, for example, Samaila Nuhu Paloma, I'm deciding to run for the office of governor of Gombe State, putting you into the race. What's the second thing it does? The moment you do that, it's getting you publicity because there becomes a buzz. I remember there was a guy that ran for president, for the office of president, Duro something, but I can't remember his name and I don't want to mispronounce his name. I didn't know him. I never heard of him. But the moment he made a declaration, he got publicity. And that's why because I decided to and realize, there's actually this kind of person that exists that decided to run for the office of the president in the country. So you see, it gets you publicity. It helps to create awareness about your campaign. Because once you make that declaration, in your declaration, there's information about you, there's why you're doing what you're doing, and etc. So it creates an awareness about you. People, start to talk about you. It gets you publicity, it makes people talk about you, it creates an awareness. People look at it like, this is Samaila Paloma that is deciding to run for office of chairman of Palanga local government, They start to scrutinize you, start to check your track record, your educational qualifications, of what benefit have you been to local government, etc. And it helps to build a voter base. That's the fourth thing. So what it does, declaration, it gets you into a race, it gets you publicity, it creates an awareness about your campaign, and it builds your voter base. Because once you make a declaration, whether you like it or not, there are some people at that point, depending on how you pitch your declaration to them and how they like it, at that point, they already maybe wooed by how you delivered, and I've decided, okay, this person I'm pitching my tent with, and this person I'm going to vote for. So this is how you begin to build a voter base, where you can now start to, get feedback and know, okay, these people will decide, these same people are deciding to vote for me, or, etc. The language and tone of your declaration should convey your intentions, inspire the electorate, and contain convincing arguments. I always say this in all the other classes. I'm sure you guys are, I don't know what, I think you guys are 19 or 17, I think. Every time I've taken a class, I always tell them, declaration, when you're making a declaration, you should focus on, how to inspire the electorate, how to have convincing arguments on why I ran for the office. This ideology of, taking the easy way out of bashing whoever is in the position and say, oh, this person is a failure, is this, is that, is that. Yes, okay, he's a failure, we agree, but what are you bringing to the table? I always give the example of 2015 election, or 2019, when Buhari was running for, going for a second term. And I think they went to River State or one of those states. And I was watching so-called declaration in River State, and it was a total joke. Because all they did was, they climbed on the stage, they play music, they dance. And after the dancing, they came and bashed PDP in Nigeria, PDP did this, PDP did that, PDP did this. What are you guys coming to do? They didn't say nothing. And we all have seen the results of what happened during that tenure. Because they didn't make any official declarations of why they had signed to run for office. They were only bashing the People's Democratic Party and dancing. So you see, that's why I said that you should make, when your declaration should be about you. It shouldn't be about your opponent. It shouldn't be about castigating or criticizing your opponent. Yeah, obviously, you can name some of their shortcomings, and things you want to rectify. But you should then adapt, not taking unnecessary swipes. Third one, what should I include in my declaration? Knowing your audience is key to writing a declaration. It is. Because if your audience or the prospective voter base is more illiterate than literate, then you need to taper down with the verbose English and trying to woo people. You just need to connect with them basically. The demographics. So writing, if you're key, knowing your audience is key to writing your declaration. The demographics, social, economic, and cultural / religious dynamics must be carefully considered. An aspiring candidate must be able to connect with the electorate. What are the biggest challenges in that constituency, and what can I do about them? So you should always put that at the back of your mind when you're making a declaration, especially a country like Nigeria that we're multi-religious and ethno-religious. We have so many ethnic groups. You must put at the back of your mind that you are trying to reach out to everybody. You must not ostracize a certain group of people to think, oh, this is my voter base and these are people I should try and woo. You should try and woo everybody depending on where you're running, what you're running for. Because I'm sure apart from maybe some local governments in the Northwest, we generally have Christians, Muslims, even traditionalists in nearly all parts of the country. So any declaration you're making must put into consideration these three different sets of people. So also, if you are in a state like my state is a state that has so many tribes. We have my tribe, Amwaja. I'm sure people have never heard of that. There are so many other tribes. There's Tangale, there's Terawa. So you see, when you're making a declaration, for example, to run for governor of Gombe State, you must put into consideration all these different tribes, how you're going to be able to, connect with them. Not just your tribe or, just think, okay, if I focus on Hausas and the Fulanis, then I'm good to go. No, that's not how it works. As stated earlier, a declaration is a statement of intent. This must be a typed document. It must contain, but it's not limited to the following. So these are just a few tidbits of what should be contained in your declaration when you're making a declaration. The first one is a brief autobiography of you. Who are you? Name, where you're born, where school, if you have any what they call it, work experience, etc. The office not for, obviously. You must tell them, I am deciding to run for the office of so and so, and the reasons why the candidate is seeking a said office. An appraisal, like I said, an appraisal of the past and current development of the respective constituency. So you give a brief appraisal of the past, the present, and basically what you think should be the next step, or where you think, okay, even if this person has gone so and so, I think by so and so time, we should have attained another different level or in the constituency or the state. So this is why I'm running. Now, also, it should contain your aspirations and goals, solicitation of support. Obviously, you must state in your declaration and manifesto that you are soliciting the support of the constituents or the electorate, and a commitment as promise. This is something Nigerian politicians, they know how to promise heaven and earth, but they never fulfill them. But I believe that with you guys, you guys upcoming, I guess there's a level of integrity that you guys have. So you will not make commitments or promises that you can't keep just between the election. You will do things, you try and keep it. Don't make the electorate high, what they call it, make them feel like, okay, this is something that, this guy would do, just get their hopes high and then dash them. You should do things, give commitments and promises that you feel you can attain. Even if you can't attain 100%, at least you can do a justifiable job to those commitments and promises. Note that this declaration is intended for wider audience. The language used must be motivational but straightforward, but memorable. Targeted statements for specific audiences within the broader constituency can be made in course of the campaign. Now, what do I mean by these targeted audiences? Now, I'm going to give you an example. You are running for governor of Lagos State. Let me use Lagos State. I grew up in Lagos. You're running for the office of governor of Lagos State. Now, you are going to have the businessman community. You have the market women community. You have bankers, you have lawyer communities, which you will all at some point go and make a pitch, make your official declaration to them, seeking their support. Now, if you are going to meet with the market women, and after you've made your general declaration, to connect with them, what are you going to talk about? You're going to talk about prices of tomato, onions, pepper, meat. You will not start telling them that the GDP ratio was 2.0. That's none of their business. They can't even be bothered about that. So that is what it means by targeted statements for specific audiences within the broader constituents. Because right now, I'm meeting market women, so you're going to tell them how that bag of tomato that is costing 50,000. How are you going to make it that it can be reduced to 20,000 naira, so that by the time they sell it maybe for 30,000 naira, they're making a profit of 10,000. Do you understand? Now, if you're going to the Nigerian Bar Association in that state to make a declaration, you'll be talking to them about laws. Maybe, for example, the Land Use Act. The Land Use Act, which is a very, very thorny issue in Nigeria. Those are the kind of things you talk about. You will not want to talk about Land Use Act to accountants. It's none of their business. You will talk about economic indices to people like that, economists, accountants. So this is what that statement means. When you're making declarations to these specific communities or groups, there are certain statements and certain languages you use when discussing with them. And then we'll go to what are the main challenges when making a declaration on your manifesto. A declaration requires careful thought and meticulous execution, both when planning it and when delivering it. Some of the biggest challenges include this, and it's not exhaustive. These are just certain things, I put down, and there are some other things that might come up, that will be challenges to you, depending on where your constituency is or your target audience is. Committing your thoughts to paper. That is something that a lot of us, I'm sure, a lot of you have been able to, when you're writing like an essay or going to make it a moot court if you're a lawyer and etc. It's very easy to talk. We can blab for hours, but when it comes to committing your thought to paper, it's not an easy thing. So that's something that could be a challenge along the way, trying to make a declaration or manifesto paper. And researching and isolating relevant information. We all know how, in the present day, how there's a lot of false information out there. So you need to do your research so that you don't flunk it or make some mistakes that might cost you something. Proofreading and fact-checking. We already know last election, for example, Peter Obi was constantly fact-checked on Twitter. Every time he said something, they'll go fact-check him. Not even Peter Obi alone, even Alhaji Atiku, even the president right now, President Tinubu, all of them are fact-checked. Even at senatorial level, even people are fact-checked by people because now there's access to information. So when you make information that people feel like, this guy is just blabbing or is making false information, they'll go fact-check you and come and, denounce whatever statement you make. So you should always do things like that. Production cost. This has to do with a little bit of finance, but yes, you must always have at the back of your mind that how am I going to make my production? How am I going to produce my declaration papers and manifesto? You should always have a budget for that. Then distribution. Distribution too is something that you must put at the back of your mind. Now, I always give another example. In 2023, that was 2022, when I'm going to say this anyways, I'm a member of the People's Democratic Party, but with the way things are going, we don't even know anymore at this point. So when Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was making his declaration in 2022 at the International Conference Center, I noticed that a lot of people that were there did not have text of his declaration. And after the declaration ended, because we were in the campaign train and a lot of us were hanging around, discussing this thing. And I realized that at the end, at the back of the hall, there were lumps of the declaration text. And a lot of people left there. A lot of people, especially when they make a declaration, because of the noise, the whole jamboree kind of affair, they might not really listen to what you're saying. But that text, that declaration document and manifesto document that you have, a lot of people, when they go back home in their lazy time, maybe lying on the bed about to doze off, they start to read through it, and then they can make a decision, So you should always make sure these documents are properly distributed so that even if someone at the official declaration date does not, is not really concentrating, he can go back to read and understand who you are and maybe try and connect through that to your declaration paper. Delivery in front of a crowd is not easy. It's not easy. I've contested before. I lost anyways. It's not easy to make it. It's not easy to deliver, especially if you are going to the constituency of your opponent. You are going to be heckled. Things like that will happen. So you should always be prepared to face these kind of challenges that are going to come. Then security, that is something you must put in consideration because it's a campaign. Now, if you're running, I told you I'm from Balanga local government. Now, my federal constituency is Biliri Balanga local government. There are 2 local governments. And in those 2 local governments, we have 10 ward seats. That means comprising of 20 words. Now, those 20 words, when you are running for office, you are going to have to visit those each ward. So that means you're going to visit 20 wards. Now, those 20 wards, you're going to travel around with, you have to have security because you have other candidates from other different wards. You have probably the incumbent from one of those wards. So you should always prepare that anything can happen because it does happen. We're not saying it happens every time, but it most likely will happen, whereby without security, you don't want things to go south, basically. Now, transportation and logistics, like I give you an example of Billy Balanga Federal Constituency, you're going to transgress 20 wards. Or even if you're running for State House of Assembly, Balanga North, where I'm from, you have 5 wards. It's not, they are close, but you're going to still have to, move back and forth from these places. Or if you're running for governor of Gombe State, we have 11 local governments. Now you're going to transverse the whole 11 local governments. So you should always put concentration on transportation, logistics, provision of motivation, such as monetary consideration and refreshment. Now, this isn't a bribe. Because I know in the past, people constantly ask me, so this motivation I'm talking about, is that not like vote buying? No, it's not vote buying. If you are having a declaration, because at this point, it's a declaration you're making of your intent to run for office and your manifesto. If you're making a declaration and people come, you should ideally, especially depending on the kind of society you come from, if there is a society that people are quite, downtrodden and, have very little, it's only good that you show some appreciation whereby you give them soft drinks, you give them water to drink, snacks, and the ones that, probably don't have means of transportation, but have decided to take their time to come for a declaration, you give them some sort of monetary, compensation, for transportation. So it's not vote buying. It's not an issue of saying, oh, you're bribing people. No, this isn't. Although there's a thin line between vote buying and provision of motivation. The negative reception, which I've already told you, should always be prepared for that. That's why I mentioned security first before this, because when the negative reception comes, you should have security in place that can stem any unruliness, or any issues that can lead to a total breakdown of law and order. It is important to keep in mind that regardless of how prepared you are, there will be challenges and encumbrances so be prepared mentally, stay strong, and be guided by convictions and ambition. I said a snippet about this. Where should I make a declaration? That's the 5th one. Depending on the office sort and its respective constituencies, declarations are made in the following arenas: national television, state television, national radio, local radio, town halls / social or religious gatherings, and social media. Note that one or all of these may be used, and you may have to repeat your declaration a number of times. The key thing is to be consistent. Like I told you, if you're transgressing different local government wards, you're going to keep repeating your declaration. As a matter of fact, at some point, you get tired, but you have to do it. Because everybody has to feel like, okay, according to the same respect, you have accorded certain people or different wards or different local governments. Now, helpful tips when making a declaration. Try to choose a perfect day to make a declaration when activity is reduced, such as over weekends or during public holidays. It's good to do that because you want as wide an audience as possible. So how do you get that wide an audience? It stays on days when you know that people are less occupied. If you're doing it on a weekday, you know that less people you'd see. If you're doing it on a weekend, there are more chances of a higher audience because, weekends are like, coming for a declaration can be termed as a leisure outing for certain people, So if a group of friends say like, okay, let's just go for that guy's declaration since today's a Saturday, it's a Sunday afternoon, or, it is your public holiday. Don't announce your campaign before you have your campaign budget and strategy in place. Test your theme message before you declare. It's important. The important issues you need to address, your action plan, and your political philosophy. What do you mean by testing? You test, what you want to talk about. You must have, when you want to run for office, you must have like a team. Now it's with that team, you do these kind of things. You do the back and forth, someone playing the devil's advocate, etc. Select the most ideal location to announce, bearing your target audience in mind, which I talked about earlier in the text, where I said, if you're running for governor of Lagos State. You will not, what's the use of going to Abuja, Umar Yaradua Center to go and make an official declaration when your target audience is in Lagos? Do you understand? Or if you are running for House of Representative member in Akwa Ibom, then you will now say you are going to River State to go and make a declaration. No, your target audience should be where you should be making your declaration. Be punctual, arrive and set up on before time. In Nigeria, we have this big manism kind of attitude whereby you want everybody packed in there, then you strut in maybe an hour later, arranging your agbada, strutting up and down, flexing. Ideally, the proper thing is that the people should come and meet you there, but, well, I hope at some point in this country we'll get these things right. Have your own photographer, camera crew. You will need records, especially for traditional and social media use. To splash it on social media, which also give a buzz and vibe about the campaign. Make sure you have some supporters present as moral boosters when making your declaration, definitely. Because sometimes if the crowd is very, nonchalant, your supporters, can help give morale and, arouse the crowd, by making noise, hailing, all those kind of things. It is very important to always inform the power base prior to your declaration and announcement, even though most will probably not attend. Now, who are these, what they call them, power base? They are the party leaders, major stakeholders, and organizations. A lot of them don't come for your campaign declarations or your manifesto. But you should go and inform them first, the sign of the courtesy, showing them, according them the respect they deserve. So by the time you do that, they'll be like, okay, yes, we've heard you. So you can go and make an official declaration. Because a lot of times, if you don't do that, it will cost you. I've been a victim to that. So it can cost you. Focus on your prospective opponents. Focus on issues and not your prospective opponent's shortcomings. E.g. the incumbent, like I told you, I gave you an example of 2015, 2019, whereby it was all about bashing PDP and not telling us what they wanted to do or what they were coming to do. And then we saw the shit show it was in the last 4 years of Buhari's government. Some might disagree, which I talked about with motivation, etc. So here we come to the conclusion. A lot of aspiring candidates have not realized, or in fact tend to ignore, the importance of a declaration. It is a very pivotal part of any successful campaign. There's a lot of planning which goes on before a declaration. Sometimes it takes years to develop. The most important thing is to end up with something that is well executed to captivate those whose votes you seek to win, but must stay true to who you are. Remember that the declaration is the instrument that launches your campaign. It is what those who you hope will vote for you will latch onto and use to assess you and compare it to your rival candidates. If your campaign is successful, it will be used to reach your performance in a re-election or in a subsequent campaign. It cannot be overstated how important it is to get this right. So thank you, everyone, and then we'll come to conclusion of the paper. And if you have any questions, I'm open to answering your questions right now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much, Mr. Samali. So for now, please put your questions in the chat box and raise your hand if you have any questions, please. Let me see. Okay, we have Olumide Ali. So I'm going to ask you to unmute and ask your questions, please. And keep it brief.
All right. Sorry, the name is Olamide Ali. So sorry about that.
Yeah, I can barely hear you though.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. I said I just want to make a point. You make mention of something in the course of your teaching, and you said why making declaration to the publics, and you started 2019 election during Muhammadu Buhari's campaign and all whatnot. I want you to maybe enlighten us. That is one. The difference between campaign promises and manifesto, because I was meant to know that the only thing that you can hold a political leader responsible for is their manifesto, because it is written down and it is published for everybody to know. But because of the kind of people that we are dealing with, especially Nigerians, we don't deal with issues. We only deals with utterances, let me say, religious sentiments, ethnicity, and all whatnot. That is why we don't pay attention to the vital information that is inside, or that is in the manifesto. You say campaign promises is a mere alteration to get to the heart of the people. You know that people at the point of election, we are all vulnerable. So we only believe what they said, and what they say or what they've said cannot be old. They cannot be held responsible for that, because it is a mere utterances. They can definitely, change their words that maybe they are unconscious of saying it. Politicians, how they do it. So maybe we should just redirect our attention from listening to their own campaign promises or campaign wishes or anything, to what they really have. We can use as an example, we know we do compare Nigeria with other countries, especially US. You can see the manifesto of Donald Trump, and we can see at its inception, what he did was to exit WHO. Before he was elected, he said it clearly, and it was
Sorry,
among its.
can you keep your question brief, please?
All right. The thing is,
Thank you.
just clarify what campaign promises is and manifesto.
Campaign promises. It's one and the same thing, basically. In your manifesto, you decide when you're making your manifesto, you tell them what you want to do. Now, the campaign promises, if you're making a campaign promise, yes, you're just stating what is in your manifesto, basically. Now, I'll give you an example. When Alhaji Atiku was running in 2023, he talked about unbundling the NNPC. He said that verbally, but it was also in his manifesto. So the campaign promises you make are normally things that are in your manifesto, what you want to do, what you feel that you would do for the people when you get into office. So that's why I don't really get your question. Are you saying a campaign promises different from manifesto, what is in your manifesto? No, it's basically one and the same thing. If you've gone through the text of even President Tinubu, apart from removal of oil subsidy, which I don't think was in their text, most of the things that he said he would do or he's going to do were in the manifesto. Do you understand? So I hope you understand what I mean. If not, if you want any further elaboration, let me know.
Thank you very much. We have Bassy Bob. Please unmute and ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
I want to begin on a note of appreciation. Your lecture really went well, and it was interesting also. So my question is, we have this trending issue of what you ordered for versus what you get, and most of the times, all these political candidates, they always tender their manifestos, but at the end of the day, when they eventually get voted into the political office, most of the times they end up not doing what they actually made known to the people. So in such
I can't hear you anymore. Hello. Hello. You're breaking off though. I can't hear you.
Sorry, Bassy, just check your network and then come back. So the next person, that's Akachuku. Akachuku, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Please unmute and ask your question. Bassy, please, we'll come back to you later.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, our speaker. Thank you so much. I've been writing down your notes, and it's been profound. Thank you once again for the lecture. So, I have a quick question. In terms of the declaration, I want to know if it's constitutional.
Yeah.
Like, if maybe a politician, if he or she maybe decides not to do a declaration, Can you hear me, sir?
I didn't hear
Are you
that.
hearing me?
Yeah, I
Okay,
can hear you
okay,
now, but can you come back again?
okay, sir. So I was asking, the declaration, like, is it backed by the Constitution? Can someone maybe avert it and still maybe go ahead with his or her own, like, maybe election? Or if it's not maybe properly done, as maybe like as it's stated on the River State, can it also be contested, like in court, and the person be disqualified? So as maybe from the position, or from contesting the position. So
I get I,
like I want to
I get where you're
see
coming from.
okay, yes, sir.
These are tradition and customs that are done. There is nothing in the Constitution that says you should make a declaration, or your manifesto. It's just norms and customs. You understand? So apart from what the Constitution, as long as you're of age, you have the what's the word? The requisite qualifications. You're not a criminal. etc. Those are the constitutional conditions. But all these are customs and norms. The customs and norms, like they're like traditions that certain things have, and this is things that have been done over the years. Because okay, you buy the form, you fill the form, you have the requisite qualifications, etc., and then you go into the race. How are you going to create an awareness for yourself? How are people going to know you're running for the office? Do you understand? So that's why this declaration and manifesto things are done. I'm sure most of you, even in university, if for example someone bought SUG form to run for president of SUG, and then does not come to do a declaration on a manifesto, how do you know that person is running for that office? So this is why these things are done, because yes, you is not backed by the Constitution, but it's a custom and a norm that is traditionally done. So I hope you understand that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we have Basi. I'm going to ask you to unmute. I hope your network is okay now.
Okay. Thank you so much. The question I actually wanted to ask is regarding this manifesto. We have issues whereby politicians will give their manifestos, and at the end of the day, when they eventually get voted into the political offices, they'll end up not living to the expectation as they promised. So, what should be done in view of subsequent times?
Well, yeah, you see now, if the person doesn't fulfill his campaign promises and he probably wants to run again, he's going to come back to you guys now. And if you have his campaign promises or his declaration and manifesto, you can use it to attack him. I think that's about the best you can do, really, in Nigerian politics. We have not reached the stage where politicians are really held accountable for what they say, in the process of vying for office. Like, I don't know if any of you are conversant with what's going on in the United States right now. They've been having town hall meetings, Republican representatives, whereby the constituents are bashing them because they were voted into office, they voted for Trump, but this is not the plan. So when they are coming back to their constituencies to have the town hall meetings, they're already bashing them and saying this was not what was in the manifesto / your declaration when people are running for office. You are laying off workers. You are bringing Elon Musk. Do you understand? So if you have been conversant with watching what's going on, that is how people hold people accountable. But I don't know whether we have reached that stage yet. But I guess we're gradually getting there. Let me just use that word. So there's no real way to be able to hold them accountable. But in subsequent elections, or when they come back to you guys to beg for your votes again, then you can hold them by the jugular with their promises which were not fulfilled, basically.
Okay, thank you very much. Julius, please ask your question.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. I can hear you. Hello?
Julius. Okay, I think Julius might be having a network problem. So please, Julius, check on your network. And then we have Juliet Obiageri. Please ask your question.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, good evening.
Please, mine is a concern, and it's as a result of what you said in the course of the facilitation. You said
Yeah.
in declaration that your messages should be people specific. Like if you're talking to lawyers, you could cite the Land Use Act, not using such things on accountants and all that. And that now brings me to my concern. It is a common practice that when those who are assuming I'm vying for the House of Assembly or Senate or representative, and I come to my constituency and I tell my constituency and I tell people that you people should please consider me or vote for me because I want to vie for so and so. And if I go in there, my basic role as a House member is to make laws. Then my opponent comes and makes false promises by saying like I will build road, I will do this and I will do that, which constitutionally he is not empowered to do. How do you think I will wriggle out of it? That's just my concern.
Well, you see, now that question, it's I don't even know how to go about it because I know where you're coming from. Nigerians, especially the people at the local level, they like to be wooed, even if they know it's a lie. You know, you that you're going to come and tell them what it is. Like I told you, I ran for office for State House of Assembly in my constituency. I didn't win the primaries. And I guess I kind of had this kind of problem because I'm a lawyer. I know what a State House of Assembly member can do. I know what his powers are. Do you understand? And I was talking to the constituents based on things like this. But, you know, we like to be deceived in this country. That's just the truth. We don't, you know, once someone is coming, telling you it's black and white, you are not really liked. So I get where you're coming from. It's quite difficult. So that's why a lot of the crude politicians and politicians that, you know, don't really give a hoot about the people, they'll come and tell them to buy their machines, they'll do this, they'll make sure their lives are better, and the people will be hailing them. Even if deep down inside they know it's a lie, but they just want to hear that. So it's an orientation issue. I don't know how we're going to change the orientation of the people. Maybe as things get more difficult, basically, and they see how things are happening, maybe they would want to hear the truth. But it's difficult. It's a very difficult one. It's a very difficult one. I won't encourage you to lie to your constituents, but you know, I won't also tell you to tell them black and white. You can be in the middle, you know, try and make it look okay, not it's either black or it's white. Nigerians we're not yet ready for that kind of politics. And it's not even in Nigeria, it's all over the world. You know, people just want to hear things that make them go to bed and feel happy, even if they know deep down inside it's a lie. So we're still in that stage where we need to also manage the people and their perceptions and expectations, basically. Any more questions?
Hi, Jessica. I think Chiamaka is having network issues.
Okay, we have one hand up. Ibrahim Umar. Please go ahead, Ibrahim.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presenter. Nice presentation. So wonderful. My own is just an observational question at other angle regarding the local government elections that arise because of this local government autonomy. That the governors were forced to conduct local government elections. Last the election, because I'm from Bauchi, last election that was held for local government, some of our councillors and and the local government chairman. They will come, they will tell you, yeah, they don't have any manifestation. They don't have anything to do for you, but they promise you once they are being elected into office, they can see what they will do. Then for that one, how are we going to approach our people so that they avoid such politicians? How are we going to approach such? One, two, in brief, some of the state assemblies and House of Representatives and senators, they will come with the same manifestation. An aspirant from PDP, APC, and Labour, SDP, and ABGA, they will come with the same manifestation. It's like photocopy. Like they will photocopy each other's manifestation. They will come and read it for you. If they go to this place for campaign, they will read the same thing. You go to other campaign ground with different political parties, they will read the same thing. So once we notice that, as you as a lawyer and a grassroots politician, what advice are you going to give us as a youth mobilizers in our communities to advocate for our people so that they will kick against them? Thank you.
Okay, I like your questions. And I heard you're from Bauchi. That's your Bauchi used to be our big brother, but we are now bigger than you guys, unfortunately. That's a joke. So now back to the question. The local government elections. Now I'm an advocate of the fact that local government elections should be taken away from states. They should be controlled by the federal INEC. Why? Because local government elections are selections, they're not elections. So now you see those people that are the councillors and the local government chairman aspirants already know they are going to win once they are in the ruling party or the party that is ruling the state. So that's the reason why, they basically do not care, because they know that on the day of the election is the state-controlled electoral board that is going to put them in office, whether there's an election or there's no election. And we know this is what's going on all over the country. So till we have a system whereby it's controlled by an entity or a body that the state government has no control over, then we'll keep still saying the same rubbish. That's the truth. There's nothing that is going to change. They will come and just basically, as a matter of fact, some even gloat in your face and tell you whether you like it or not. By virtue of the fact that I am the candidate of the ruling party in the state, I'm going to get there. Do you understand? So there is nothing much we can really do about that still, if our federal representatives / senators, which is what most of you guys should be doing to them. I know times are hard now, so people are more concerned about food infrastructure and the rest. But this is why we have federal representatives and senators. These are the laws they're supposed to be making so that we have a more robust political system. If a governor just sits, that's why you see most of our local government chairmen, councillors, they either stackily traits, they know nothing about what they haven't going to do in the offices, but as by virtue of the fact that they are the governor's boys. Governor just said, you go and be governor, local government chairman, you go and be councillor of this one. So till we can change the system whereby it's going to be a robust fight. Because if it becomes INEC, whether you are the ruling party or not ruling party, the opposition can beat you in a local government if you feel you're not qualified or you don't have the requisite capacity to hold that office. That is that. Now, on the second one where you're talking about, you talked about, I'm trying to remember what you talked about again on that one. It was about, different political parties coming with the same kind of manifesto and, just reading the text, and whether people get it, whether they don't get it, they move on. Now, at the grassroots level, there's a lot of problems. That's the truth. People are poor, unfortunately. So they don't really look at these things. They just are thinking about who has the finances to come and vote by, basically. Unfortunately, that's just what it is, unfortunately. So people don't care. Now, the only thing we can do now, us that are educated, is you start to make people aware. With the, for example, you can use the present situation we're in now. Look at the economic hardship. Look at how things are going. You need people that can. Now, this is off the record or off the book. I believe that this 10th assembly is probably the worst, because There are no checks and balances. Once the president says move right, everybody, yes, we're moving right. Once the president says move left, we're not saying they should disrespect the president or fight the president. Many people that will go there, and if the president says it's 10, they'll say no, it's 20. Do you understand? This is the kind of democracy we're supposed to be running. But unfortunately, this is where we are. So we individually have to try and, begin to, at the grassroots level, make people more aware. Because it's when they are seeing that nothing is changing and you are trying to make them understand that if you keep doing this, nothing is going to change. But if you change the attitude, if you begin to hold people accountable for what they're coming to tell you, then things will change. So I guess that's the best advice I can give on this really. That's just the truth. Any more questions?
I think we'll take some questions from the chats now.
Okay.
Priska, over to you.
So we have one more hand raised up. Please resend your questions to the chat. I think I cannot see them anymore. So let me ask Yusuf, please ask your question and we'll take from the chat.
No one is talking.
Hello, Yusuf. Yusuf? Okay. Then I would ask Julius to ask his question. Julius, please ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, my question is, where is the place of the Constitution where politicians fail to fulfill their campaign promises? I don't know. Does the Constitution has anything to
The Constitution
hold
doesn't.
onto?
The Constitution doesn't have any provision for that. The only thing that happens is that when you are elected into office, you take an oath. You swear to abide by the Constitution and do what is right. So when you take that oath, if you're a Christian, it's a Bible. If you're a Muslim, you see them, they wear the Quran on their hands and make that oath. So that is between you and your God, unfortunately, and that's how it is. Any more questions?
Okay, I'm going to read some questions from the chat. From Christopher, we have, can we use manifestos as evidence to legally drag winners to court? Should they fail to deliver all the campaign promises captured in the so-called manifesto, given that we are exercising our rights and we feel disillusioned that they failed us?
Well, I now this question, I don't think so. I don't know. It's never been tried. Do you understand? So I don't know. Maybe you can sue. Definitely not in the criminal court, but maybe you can sue in a civil court for something. I don't know. Maybe for deceit. I guess I don't know. It's never happened. It's never happened. So I can't say yes or no either on that. Any more questions?
I have one from F. Young. Please.
Okay.
Sir, I want to ask, can citizens in a particular constituency draft and present a community demand charter to political candidates who are on campaign for office as to hold them accountable? And what is the connection between political manifesto and community demand charter? From Mr. F. Young.
Well, political manifesto, that's the candidate telling you what he wants to do for you. Now, your community charter, that is what you would want the prospective candidate to do for you. Yes, you can draft it. I remember in the time of His Excellency, now Senator Danju Mogoje, when he was going to different constituencies, they were asking him, this is what they want him to do, which he fulfilled. Also, the immediate past governor of Gombe State, Ibrahim Hassan Dankombo, His Excellency Ibrahim Hassan Dankombo, same thing. So you can do that. You can tell them when they come to make their declarations and manifesto that this is what people want. You know, they are not from the constituencies. They might not be from your constituencies. So they might feel they know what you want, but you know where the shoe pinches you. So you can tell them, okay, after they made a declaration and said maybe I come and give you electricity or give you education. You say no, your own priority is, for example, primary health care or a federal medical, or not federal medical, the state hospital, central hospital, you know, because of maybe the distance, you know, so you can do that. You have the community has the right to make demand from political aspirants. Yes, they do.
Okay, thank you so much. And then we have the last question from Julius. Where is the place of the Constitution when politicians fail to fulfill their campaign promises?
People are too hinged on the Constitution. The Constitution, it's silent on all this. Do you understand? I know why people are bothered about the Constitution, because you want to have a backup to be able to deal with politicians if they misbehave. Unfortunately, the Constitution doesn't have anything to do with that. The Constitution, you know, it's the ground norm of the country. It makes laws, you know, of how to govern the country and how, you know, to run the country. But in terms of political campaigning, those kind of things maybe are in the electoral act. Even the electoral act does not say, electoral act just has to do with, you know, the procedure of campaigning and the issues of vote buying and which is illegal and etc. and how campaigns should be run. Do you understand? It doesn't say whereby a candidate wins an election and fails to fulfill his declaration / manifesto, you know, whether you can sue them or whether there's any legal backing to that. I don't think so. None that I know of. Thank you. All right, I guess that's the last question from you guys, and I thank you guys for listening to me today, and wish you guys all the best. And like I always tell every class, I hope you guys, you know, put into practice what you learn, because the country is in dire straits, and we need more knowledgeable people to carry it forward. So basically, that's it. Good evening, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have anything from the college. Please, Lisa, let us know. Okay, so bye-bye, everybody. Goodbye. See you in the next class. Take care, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samaila. It's been a pleasure having you this evening. We really got value. Thank you for being with us. So thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow. Classes continue tomorrow.